around very often.
No.
And here we are 6 years later, and we all like each other.
I know.
Which is even crazier.
I think that's like the biggest compliment that directors have when they come on set, is that they all say that it's quite rare to meet a cast who are on What Sport season 5 and everyone still likes each other.
Yeah.
And that you and Sam especially haven't killed each other is amazing.
No. You know what? I think we have never had a proper argument. I think like we may have had, possibly I can count on one hand the times that we've sort of like snipped at each other.
What are those?
Once when I corrected his French, I was kind of laughing at him.
Excellent.
And he did turn around and tell me to fuck off.
I can't imagine him that angry.
That's the one that I really remember, because I was like, "Ooh, shit! I really crossed the line here." You know what I mean?
It makes me think that I'm surprised César hasn't turned around and given everyone else any shit for their French.
Because you don't really speak so much of it anymore. This was season 2.
Yeah.
This is when we had to speak a lot of it.
So, the idea here being that we're trying to hear some really cool women talk about some really cool women. I would love to start then by hearing, if you've had this journey, you have always sort of been an actor, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's what I always wanted to do. You know, ever since I can remember, I was that, you know, annoying child, running around and like doing my own plays, sitting, looking in a mirror, talking to myself.
So yes, if you've always sort of been an actor, you've always been into it. So what is the film?
So the film is Wanda, and it's by Barbara Loden, or Loudon, actually. Loden, I think. Loden.
Hey, quick interjection here. Me and Kat just got really into this episode and forgot to give you a synopsis of what Wanda was about. For those that might not know, Wanda is a 1970s American independent film, and it was written and directed by Barbara Loden, who also stars as Wanda in the film. And it's set in the pretty bleak coal region of East Pennsylvania. The film basically focuses on a woman drifting from bars to motels and from men to men. She hands over custody of her children because she knows that they're better off with their father, and then goes on the run with a bank robber. So it's wild. We will link you to the newly restored movie, financed by both Gucci, I think because it looks so amazing and the costumes are so cool, and the Film Foundation on the Entail app. Alright, back to the interview.
You come home from work, she's lying around on the couch, kids are dirty, there's diapers on the floor. Sometimes the kids is outside, running around, nobody watching them.
Wanda Goronsky.
Listen, Judge, if he wants a divorce, just give it to him.
It's a film that I came across when I was living in New York, and I was trying to figure out, I think at that time, how to get back into acting, because I'd been away from it for so long. And, you know, there was a couple of actors at that time that really made a big impact on me, and this film was kind of the first film of that ilk that I'd seen made by a woman, and written by a woman and starring a woman. And it was just, it's very much the sensibility of what I would love to do. I mean, I don't think I've actually yet been able to do a job like this that would scratch that particular itch.
Because she wrote,
starred and directed it.
Did she direct it as well?
Yeah, she's amazing. I mean, she was an actress. She was married to a very famous director, Elia Kazan. And this is this gorgeous little indie film that she made. I think she made it for like $100,000. And it was made in Pennsylvania and Connecticut.
I'm just no good. Just no good.
You can do it.
I can't.
You can do it.
I can't.
You can. You can.
I can't.
I was a big fan of Cassavetes, and I loved Jenna Rowlands and all that kind of stuff. And this was very much that kind of world, because it's very improvised. She started off with a script, and it's then very loosely, well, she talks about, when she talks about the film, that very quickly they sort of threw that away. They used it as a slight guideline. But mostly they used non-actors. I mean, I think it was her.
What about the guy that plays her, like, at the end, who she ends up with?
Mr. Dennis.
Yes.
Yes, he's an actor as well. But everyone else pretty much they're just people that she got to sort of play themselves or play versions of themselves in the film.
That's interesting that you say that, because when I watched it, wondered if it was improvised. That was one of my first things. It was so natural. If it is, this is unbelievable acting, that they're all just so off the cuff. but it was like nothing I'd seen. It was kind of unnerving at times because it's so quite quiet as well. There's no music playing at any time. There's no real soundtracking at all.
No.
It's just sort of her.
And that's the thing. It's the whole thing about this film. Is what I loved is she doesn't have this mad change in the middle of the film.
No,
it's not
I was waiting for something almost, and then you have to just relax.
You have to just let it happen, and I think it's that exploration of, you know, a woman who is passive in her life, but also in crisis, but doesn't know how to do anything about it. So in some ways doesn't do anything. I mean, it's crazy when you think about it, because I think we're all so, you know, there's so often we want films where it's like you need that big shift and people have to like overcome things and
huge drama,
and it's always about a lesson, or it's always about how do we better ourselves, or the downfall. And I just loved this, and it was just so different from anything I had seen, and it really, I don't know why. It was just one of those films that really, really stayed with me. And it was like, I want to make things like that, or I want to be in things like that.
It kind of surprised me when you said it, when you told me what it was going to be, because when I was watching it, I was like, this woman is like super passive. She's kind of lacking in agency. She doesn't do, and she...
But yet, instead of wallowing in her misery, I mean, the scene in the courtroom when she goes in and the judge is like, you know, your husband is saying that, you know, he wants to take the children. You have 2 young children, like, and she's like, well, they'd be better off without me.
Yeah.
To me, there's something brave in that, even though it's really, really dark and really awful.
But it's really honest as well.
It's that I'm not going to do what I'm supposed to do just because everyone else, like, this is the role that's been given to me. And I think also, you know, a couple of years after I'd seen that, I was in, I mean, not Pennsylvania, but I was in West Virginia, and it was like one of those coal towns, and it sort of had that, just that feeling of oppression. And you can just imagine those, like, wide shots when you see her crossing.
Like walking, yeah.
Oh my God, like those
I was
kill
like,
me.
is it her? Is that her? When it's almost like a quarry or something. That
well, it's a slag heap, right? It's a coal field. And she's there's something so defiant. Yeah, she's in her hairnet, and she's in this like white and light blue outfit, and yet she's just walking in this sea of black coal, and it's so depressing and dark, and yet she's like determined to be something different, even if she doesn't know what it is. Yeah. She's gonna not stay at home and not wallow in it, and it doesn't work out very well for her,
because it all gets quite Bonnie and Clyde at the end.
It does.
I did not expect that at all.
Yeah,
at all. Because the whole time I was going, right, I've got to sort of relax into this being quite a quiet observation of a person, just of someone trying to get through the world in her way, and then it all sort of kicks off, and this guy, like in the scene in the bar
when she walks in and thinks he's the bartender,
and then you suddenly see the guy, the bartender, with a napkin stuffed in his mouth, on the ground. I was like, oh right, okay, well, right, let's go. And then that's when it all kicks off. I'm
very attracted in some ways to people who are like down and out and living in the gutter. I don't know. I
hope your husband hears that.
No, but it's just I just think we live our lives and we're so locked in our own heads, and we don't really, you know, as actors, I guess that's what we're always trying to do. We're trying to like get inside someone else's psyche and their thoughts and their feelings. But you'll never, ever really know what it feels like to be somebody else. And I think that that's like the most crazy thing about humanity, is that we are so, in some ways, alone.
Oh my God.
It's like, sorry. I'm really a happy person.
Okay. No, you're right. You're absolutely right.
It's such a...
You are right. Like, I have strange thoughts sometimes of, say you've not spoken to someone all day, and you suddenly realise this brain that's in your head and this body that you have, like, that is it. No one can actually get in there. You can hide everything in there, and no one can actually know.
Yeah, but it's also, I think, conversely, like, you can never understand another person's perspective, truly.
No.
And I think that that's what films like this, and when people strive to inhabit a world that is so different maybe from my own experiences or whatever, I just find it so fascinating.